Yes, I agree. We're going to multiply the bottom equation by -2 because 10 times -2 would be -20. Okay, so 10 times -2 is -20. So take this second equation and multiply it by -2. So remember in yesterday's lesson, I said the name of the game is opposite. We don't want the same, we want the opposite. So the first equation is not going to change. The second equation, you're going to multiply it by -2. So multiply the entire equation by -2. So you got -2 times 10, that's a -20. -2 times 15, it's -30. And -2 times 65 is -130. So take a moment, add these equations together. The x is going to eliminate and solve for y. What did you get for y? All right, so we got 35 minus 30 is 5. 145 minus 130 is 15. Divide both sides by 5, you get y equals 3. So that means that they need to order 3 pasta bakes. So they need to go buy 3 pasta bakes. So now let's figure out how many Subway trays they need. So you can choose which equation you want to work with. You can work with the red one or with the green one. I think I'm going to go with the green one. No reason, no. You get the same answer with both. So 10x plus 15 times 3 equals 65. Go ahead and solve that for x. So 15 times 3 is 45. Subtract 45 from 65 and you get 20. So what would x be? 2. X equals 2. So he needs to order 3 pasta bake and 2 sub trays. And that would be your solution. You will have a word problem on the test. All right, in your reveal books, reveal book, go to page 113. We're going to talk about inequalities. I just want to remind you about an inequality. On our last test, that question was a struggle. So I just want to remind you of a couple of things that you may want to write in your books. This will be a dashed line. This is solid. And then when you shade, If it's greater than or greater than and equal to, you shade above. But if it's a less than, you shade below. So those 4 things are just a good reminder for you to put somewhere. I know you don't have a lot of space, but find a place to squeeze that in. I think having Post-it notes may be a good idea too, so you can write on a Post-it and stick it in your book. But if you know that, you don't have to write it, but I wanted to remind you of those rules as you prepare for our second test. Okay. So, we're actually going to jump to page 114 and just graph this one together. Which is why, go ahead and pick up 3 different colors, Petraeus, from the box. So we're going to graph these 3. We need 3 different colors. To graph it, the box is in the front. It's the white box in the front, yeah. Okay, so these are already ready for us to graph. Let's go ahead and write our, what we know. What's the slope of this first one? 1/3. What's the y-intercept? Is this going to have a solid or a dashed line? And am I going to shade above or below? Below. Because notice how this says y is less than. Going back to what I had you right here, if it says less than, you shade below. So now that we have all that information, let's graph it. We're going to put a point at 2. Then we're going to go up 1 to the right 3. Create a solid line. Pick up one of your crayons and shade below. Lightly shade below. Okay, for our second one, there is an invisible 1 in front of the x and an invisible 0 behind it. So your slope is 1/1. The y-intercept is 0. Is this one going to be solid or dotted? Dotted, dashed. And do I shade above or below? Above, because it says y is greater than. See how that's a greater than symbol? So you're going to shade above. So going back again to here, if it's a greater than or greater than and equal to, you shade above. If it's less than or less than and equal to, you shade below. So let's go ahead and graph this out. We're going to put a point at 0. Go up 1 to the right 1. I'm going to put a lot of points just because it's easier for me to graph on the iPad when I have a lot. And make sure you're lifting up your pencil. And then you're going to pick a second color. And you're only shading below the dash. I'm not below, sorry. You're only shading above the dash line. So pick up a second color. And this time I'm going to switch to pink. And I'm going to shade above my dash line. So that would be all of this. This all gets shaded. Okay, so this says y is less than or equal to 1. This is a horizontal line, so go ahead and write this. This is a horizontal line. All right, whenever it's a y, doesn't have an x, it's just a y. That's horizontal line. Show me with your pencil what horizontal looks like. All right, so that's what this looks like. It goes left to right, okay? So what you're going to do, this is a solid line. We're going to shade below it, and we're just going to make a straight solid line through y equals 1. So I just want you to make a solid line. So does everybody see that green line that I put up? That would be my third inequality. And pick up your third crayon and shade below it. So it's kind of hard to see on my screen. Here, let me make a lighter green actually. Okay. But the solution is the area that is shaded with all 3 of your crayons. Okay, so if it's on my screen, the area that's pink and only pink, that's not a solution. The area that's yellow and only yellow, that's not a solution. The area that's that's yellow and green, that's not a solution. It has to be all 3 areas. So what I want you to do is pick one of your colors and go back over the area that is shaded with all 3 colors, and that would be this area right here. I'm going to make it yellow. For me, it's the area that was green, yellow, and pink. That's where your solution would lie. Any point in that solution would be valid. So that's why I think it's easier to do it with colored pencils. All right, we're going to do one more. Go to page 115. At the top of 115, we're going to do it again. So I want to give you a couple of minutes to graph the first one. What's the slope of this first one? The slope is 4/5. What about the y-intercept? Solid or dashed? Above or below? Ooh, I'm hearing both. Is it above or below? Above, because it's greater than. Go ahead and graph it out. Pick one color pencil or crayon. Put your point at -3. Go up 4 to the right 5. Make a solid line. It almost didn't fit, but it fit. And now you're going to shade above. All right, let's look at the second one. What's the slope of the second graph? And what's your y-intercept? Solid or dashed? Above or below? All right, let's graph it. So we're going to put a point at 2. And then we're going to go down 2 to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Make a dashed line. Make sure you're picking up your pencil. And now I'm going to switch over to pink and shade below. All right, this one, if you compare, see how this one was a Y and that was horizontal on page 114? This one is an X, so it's going to be vertical. This is going to be a vertical line. Is it going to be solid or is it dashed? Solid. Now, for a vertical line, we don't say above or below. We say left or right. So greater than 0. Where are numbers greater than 0 on the number line? Are they greater than 0 on the left of 0 or on the right of 0? On the right. So let's go ahead and graph that. So you're going to make a solid line. I'm going to use blue. So this blue line, solid. Making it kind of thick since it's right on top of the y-axis. And you're going to shade to the right. Okay, so the solution is kind of hard to see on my screen. Let me see if I can use a lighter shade of blue. No. Okay, well, the solution is the area that is all three colors. There's a triangle right in the middle. That triangle is all three colors. So I'm going to go back over that triangle. This is the part that needs to be the darkest. This is where your solution is, right in the middle. So any point right in the middle, because that should be the area that's shaded using all three crayons. All right, let's talk about homework. Go to page, I want to help you get started. I'm actually going to cut off number 13. Let me take that off. So it's only 6 questions. You do need graph paper if you have it. If you don't, use what you got. So take out a sheet of paper. Let's get started on these together. This is due on Friday. So this is graphing systems. Yes. Sure. Absolutely. I ain't doing nothing. All right. So let's look at number 1. Take out some graph paper if you have it. I'm just going to do a couple. I'm not doing them all with you, but you have to do numbers 1 through 6. Now, what you need to do first, though, is rewrite these in slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's look at question number 1. We need to graph x minus y is less than or equal to 2. But before you can graph this, we need to rewrite this in slope-intercept form. So what would I have to do first in order to graph this? Subtract the x. So the first step is to take this x, move it over. It becomes negative y is less than or equal to, now that's a negative x plus 2. And then what else do you need to do? Oh, not yet. Divide. What am I dividing everything by? All right. Now, when you divide an inequality by a negative, what happens to the inequality? The sign flips. So this is what you're going to graph. So before I graph it, I like to write all my notes about it. I know my slope is 1 over 1. My y-intercept is at negative 2. Is this one going to be solid or dashed? Solid. Solid. And am I going to shade above or below? Above, because we have to flip it to a greater than. So again, if you don't have graph paper, use what you have. So I graphed that first one. Here, let me regraph it because I forgot to start the recording again. So we put a point at negative 2. Then we go up 1 into the right one, up 1 to the right one. And then we draw a solid line so we don't have to lift our pencil. And then we're going to shade above. And I usually don't shade because, I'm just gonna mark where it would shade. I'm I'm going to wait until after I graph the second one and then go back and shade the area. Because there's only the area that needs to be shaded is the area that's covered by both. Maybe I could try to use this lighter blue. I guess that's better. The second one says x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 1. So we would have to first subtract the x. So 2y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 1. And now you're going to divide everything by 2. So your second inequality is y is greater than or equal to negative 1/2 x plus 1/2. Off the screen a little bit. So you're going to put a point at the 1/2. And then from here, you're going to jump down 1 to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. Down 1 to the right 2. Is this one going to be solid or dashed? Dashed. Ooh. Oh, wait, solid. Solid, because it's equal to. And am I shading above or below? Above or below? Above, because it's greater than. So I'm going to make a solid line. And then I'm shading above it. So the solution for mine is the area that is yellow and blue. So really, just make sure you go back over that area and make that area darker than the rest. You don't have to necessarily erase the other part, but this area of the graph should be the darkest. Okay, use the rest of this time to finish it out. You got 5 more graphs. You could probably turn it in today. If you got questions, I am here to help.